The gunfire erupted behind me at 3 a.m. The temperature was minus 15 degrees Celsius. I instinctively crouched down and gripped my 8-year-old daughter's hand tighter. The baby strapped to my back let out a small whimper, but I couldn't stop. Stopping meant death for all three of us. This is the story of how I, a lieutenant colonel in North Korea's elite reconnaissance bureau, Special Forces, escaped hell with my 2 daughters. My name was Kong Min Sok. I grew up near Chongjin in North Hamgyong Province, in poverty and cold. My father was a coal miner and my mother worked at a ration distribution center. A bowl of rice on our dinner table appeared only 2 or 3 times a week. But everything changed when I turned 16. The school principal and People's Army officials came to our house. "Comrade Kong Min Sok, the fatherland needs your body." They said they valued my physical strength and composure. I was selected as a Special Forces candidate and had to leave for the training center immediately. My mother cried, but refusal was impossible. Refusal meant treason. The training center was hell. We woke at 4 a.m. and ran 30 kilometers in minus 20-degree weather. Survival training included staying in ice water for an hour. 1 mistake meant collective beatings. 2 mistakes meant expulsion. Of 100 trainees, only 12 survived to the end. But the rewards were sweet. I became a Reconnaissance Bureau Special Forces officer and was assigned a luxury apartment in Pyongyang. Special rations provided rice and meat, and I received Japanese electronics. Whenever I saw starving children on the streets, my heart ached, but I told myself, this is an unavoidable sacrifice for the revolution. I lived as the regime's loyal servant. In autumn 2015, I first saw her in the Reconnaissance Bureau building corridor. Choi Yun-ju, an intelligence analyst. In that cold, militaristic atmosphere, she was the only person with warm eyes. We grew closer slowly. Brief conversations after work meetings extended, and we gradually shared our weary hearts instead of small talk. With the party's approval, we married, and a year later, our first daughter Buell was born. When I first held my daughter, a strange emotion overwhelmed me. I must live for this child, not die for the fatherland. Until then, I believed I could live happily in this country. In spring 2019, winds of purge began blowing through the Reconnaissance Bureau. I was performing border operations. When I returned to Pyongyang after 3 weeks, the house was empty. Neighbors avoided my eyes and no one spoke to me. I rushed to the Reconnaissance Bureau. My superior said coldly, "Comrade Choi Yun-ju has been arrested as an anti-party, anti-revolutionary element." I couldn't believe my ears. "What are you saying? Yun-ju is a loyal party member. Her report content differed from the supreme leader's intentions. And there's evidence she protected a traitor." It was absurd. I mobilized countless connections, but no one helped. Everyone kept silent and distanced themselves from me. Their eyes showed fear of being implicated. A month later, I heard through unofficial channels that Yun-ju had been transferred to Yodok Political Prison Camp No. 15. Yodok. As a Special Forces soldier, I knew about that place. Skeletal prisoners, forced labor exceeding 12 hours daily, beatings, starvation, people eating grass roots. It was a hell from which no one returned alive. 2 months later, more news arrived. Yun-ju had died. She slowly perished from torture aftereffects and malnutrition. The official cause of death was acute pneumonia. That night I could do nothing. I sat on the living room floor of my Pyongyang luxury apartment and wept. The fatherland I'd risked my life to protect had tortured my wife to death on absurd charges. What is this? What the hell is this? Then I realized, this country couldn't be protected through loyalty. This system was a monster that would devour me and my family at any moment. My 2 daughters were sent to an orphanage on Pyongyang's outskirts. Children branded as traitors' offspring were specially managed. I secretly visited the orphanage. The place was horrific. Children lay packed in unheated rooms, fed once daily with only corn porridge. I found my daughters. 8-year-old Buell was holding her 15-month-old sister Ha with small hands. Buell's arms and legs were skeletal. When Buell saw me, she said tearfully, "Daddy, I'll be good. Can mommy come here too?" Something inside me completely shattered at that moment. Simultaneously, my resolve hardened. In this country, we have no future. I must leave with these children. I began mobilizing everything I'd learned as a Special Forces soldier. I secretly accessed the Reconnaissance Bureau's internal system and extracted border security gap locations and guard shift schedules. I found a Korean-Chinese smuggler operating in Hworyong, North Hamgyong Province. I gave him military intelligence and internal documents. In exchange, I negotiated to smuggle my family across the Tumen River into China. I created forged travel permits and left Pyongyang, disguised as an operations mission. On the train, Buell and Ha slept deeply. Dark North Korean scenery passed outside the window. We waited 3 days at a hideout near Hworyong. The smugglers' designated time was 3 a.m. at a specific location on the upper Tumen River. At 11 p.m., we departed. We had to walk mountain paths for 4 hours. I carried Ha on my back and held Buell's hand. The ground was frozen and the wind cut to the bone. Whenever Buell slipped, I gripped her hand tighter. At 2:50 a.m., we arrived near the meeting point. But something felt wrong. The surroundings were too quiet. The smuggler was nowhere visible. Then it happened. Multiple flashlight beams shone from behind us. "Stop! Don't move!" Border guards. A pursuit team. The smuggler had sold me out. I threw a smoke grenade I'd prepared. White smoke spread instantly. I ran toward the Tumen River holding my 2 daughters. "Shoot! Shoot them!" Gunfire erupted. Bullets passed beside me. I didn't stop. Reaching the riverbank, I plunged into the water. Ice water engulfed my entire body. Water rose to my waist. Buell said in a trembling voice, "Daddy, I'm scared. Just hold on a little longer. We're almost there." I pretended to be calm, but my heart was beating frantically. The riverbed stones were slippery. I advanced carefully, step by step. Ha was crying softly on my back. Behind us, I heard the pursuit team jumping into the river. I increased my speed. The current grew stronger. My foot slipped and I nearly fell but barely held on. Finally my hand touched the Chinese riverbank. I pushed Buell up first, then safely lowered Ha from my back. Last, I climbed up the bank myself. More gunfire rang out, but we were already on Chinese soil. I collapsed on the spot and pulled my 2 daughters into my arms. At that moment, I realized for the first time, I survived not for the fatherland, but for my children. Now we live in a small apartment on Seoul's outskirts. Buell attends elementary school and smiles brightly. Ha plays well with friends at kindergarten. I hung Yeonju's photo in the living room. Freedom wasn't free. I lost my wife, left my family behind, and gained nightmares I'll never erase. But I protected my 2 daughters' future. That's why I endure and live today. What choice would you have made? Would you have stayed in the system and died quietly? Or would you have abandoned everything and run toward freedom? Thank you.